he hasn't already asked you, because I can barely hear over here.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about this process, like the totaling of the votes and stuff? Do you know what happens
About
after
the
they go into the box?
Okay, yeah. I'm actually the official observer for the Ron Paul campaign, so I'm supposed to be watching that ballot box at all times. I'm pretty trusting right now. They're pretty good. There's 2 ballot boxes that they've filled. They may have another one. They're going to tape it all up when it's done. I was hoping, from what I heard, they were supposed to do the count here, a live count in front of people, but they're not doing that anymore. They're taking it to the Johnson County election office. I have to follow them there to make sure that that nothing happens to the box and that it's not tampered with. That's my job as an observer, and I will watch it count. I will watch them count at the headquarters. Last year, or the last primary, I heard there was a little bit of shenanigans going on with the drive back. They're supposed to take the box and drive straight there, but they were actually making a lot of different stops, and according to the last observer that I talked to, he felt that they were trying to lose him, and they didn't want it. So it's that type of stuff that we're combating against. And when you look around across the United States, there's already been multiple issues of voter fraud going on in Maine and Nevada and Iowa, and because it's gone on there, you can only assume or link it to others as well, and that's the type of stuff that we have to be very careful of, and it's my responsibility. So,
do you think Ron Paul has to worry about that more than the other candidates?
Yes, I do. I think he definitely has to worry about more than the other candidates, mainly because he is not what you would consider an establishment candidate. He does not get the support as Mitt Romney does from, say, Goldman Sachs or the big corporations like J.P. Morgan or.
Where does the majority of his support come from?
Surprisingly, active military. He gets the most money from active military members on duty. From the donations from active military, he gets more money from active military donations than all the other candidates do with the combined. Well, in Nevada, this is just an interesting fact. In Nevada, Ron Paul had 26,000 pledged supporters. Only 6,000 apparently voted. That is something that is really interesting to take into account. What happened then all of a sudden on that day that 20,000 voters just couldn't get off, that said that they would go?
Has the campaign been able to ask?
They have been, yes. There's been a lot of different interviews about voter fraud. There's been in Nevada especially, that Saturday, because they had their caucus day on Saturday, is a day in which Las Vegas especially has like a lot of their jobs. A lot of the jobs are working. They're working during that day. So they argue that the people, his supporters, were young people who were working like in the slots or working the service industry jobs that were working on the Saturday during the caucus, so they couldn't make it out. That's one of the main arguments. Some other some stuff that happened in Maine. There was counties that were just completely left out.
The Paul campaign?
The Paul campaign.
Yep.
And what does an observer do?
Pretty much what we do is we're sitting here volunteering for the campaign, and we just watch the vote, make sure the ballot box is empty at the beginning, and then follow that ballot box all the way until it's finished being counted, and make sure that there's nothing going weird with it or anything like that. Make sure that it's sealed the entire time until it's open, and when it's counted at the Republican headquarters.
Now, do all the candidates have?
No, we're the only one that does at this location. I don't know about the other ones, but at this location, I'm the only one.
And how did you find out about being an observer? Did you volunteer for that?
Yeah, the campaign came here to Lenexa, and when they were in Lenexa, I lived there, so I volunteered to make phone calls and stuff like that for the campaign. So they asked me if I'd be willing to be an observer, and I said sure. Yeah.
Now I see the ballots going in this box over here. Is that the only box that's been in here all day?
There's been another box that was here, and it's been brought down to the campaign headquarters, which I followed down there and had another observer sit in for me for a minute from the campaign. And so he sat in, I rode down there with the box, and then got a ride back up here, and then I'll do the same thing with this box as soon as it leaves.
And those votes were already tallied?
They were not tallied here. Not the campaign, but the Republican GOP did not want to count them here. So the only thing we were left to do is follow them all the way to where they go.
And there's an observer with that box right now?
Yeah, I handed that over to a guy that actually travels with the Ron Paul campaign. He's actually from Maine, I think, and he's observing that box and watching all those votes be taken out as soon as they start counting them after everything gets in.
If someone were to say that Ron Paul did not win this location, would you be surprised?
I don't don't know. I can't tell by the votes and stuff. There were a lot of supporters. There was a lot of supporters, sure, yeah.
When you say,
Yeah.
how would you compare him to, say, let's say, Rick Santorum turnout?
I didn't see a ton of Rick Santorum supporters here. I saw mostly, obviously, Paul supporters are very vocal. But I saw Paul supporters and I saw quite a few Romney supporters. But you probably won't. Typically, what they're traditionally supposed to do is watch all the votes or count all the votes here. I'm supposed to watch that and then take a picture of it. But the GOP didn't want to do that, so we followed it down there to make sure that there's a person at every spot to watch those.